So, good afternoon, everyone. Linal Harris here. And today's thought is the comparison con game. So you're probably thinking like, what do I mean by that, right? The comparison con game. Well, we all know what a con game is, right? A con game is a game that you play with someone who's a con that you cannot win. And here's the deal. Often we play that same game with ourselves. We con ourselves in many different ways. And one of the main ways we con ourselves is in comparing ourselves to others. Now you might say, well, Linal, how is that a con? Well, so you guys know I do a lot of work as a coach. And one of the things that comes up most often with my clients in terms of when we're looking at confidence, when we're looking at self-confidence and what's eroding self-confidence, is this likelihood that they are comparing themselves. Now you might say, well, Linal, isn't that human? I mean, don't all humans in some way compare themselves one way or the other in some kind of way? And I would say, yeah, absolutely. As human beings, we do compare ourselves. And that's okay if you complete the entire cycle, right? And here's what I mean by completing the entire cycle. Often when we compare ourselves to other people, number one, we're telling ourselves a story that's incomplete. And the incomplete part of the story is simply that we don't really know their story. All we see are the things that they display on the highlight reel, right? Steve Furtick has a quote. And his quote, I love his quote, but what he says is the reason so many of us deal with insecurities is because we compare our behind the scenes with someone else's highlight reel. And think of the world we live in now with social media. And many of us can compare ourselves to someone's news feed, but it's not telling us the complete story. Here's the other part of how we don't finish the cycle when it comes to comparing ourselves. Because often we compare ourselves to someone else as if they're enough, right? Or they're more than. But then when we look at ourselves through the lens of not enough and that we're less than. So it's not even a even playing field. And so that is the big con game that we play with ourselves. And that's why I call it the comparison con game. Now, here's the last piece that completes the circle, right? If you're going to compare yourself, or you're going to line up who you are with someone else, then you got to bring the best of what it is that you bring. So are you bringing your power, like the innate power that you know that you have? Are you comparing who you are at your absolute best when you're doing great work and you're feeling great about yourself to the comparison that you're making in that particular case? And most of the time, you're not. You're not. And that's why it's a con game. And that's why the comparison game is a game that most of us cannot win. So what I want to do is give you guys a few practices. So when I work with my clients, one of the things that I always do is I give them practices. And these practices are created to help them change behavior. But more importantly, to help them become aware of things in their life that they're not currently aware of. Because when you're aware, then that provides you access to choice. And when you have access to choice, that is when you can begin to powerfully move forward in areas of your life where you couldn't move forward before. All right? So here are the practices. The first practice is to start noticing when you compare yourself to others. Now, many of you might say, well, I don't compare myself to other people. And if you're a human being, I'm going to say, yes, you do. And so what's important is for you to begin knowing and start noticing when you are comparing yourself to other people. Okay, that's the first one. And know that you're human. We all do it. Now, the second part is practice getting present to yourself and your power. All right, so on a regular basis, get present to yourself. Know what makes you you. What are the powers that you bring to all of us that we benefit from? What is the unique part of you that when you bring it and you bring it fully, we all win? So that's the second practice. The third one is, where else has your disempowered story eroded your confidence and presence. So I want you to begin thinking about this, right? Where has your story about yourself, based on whatever comparisons you've made, began to erode your confidence? And I want you to begin investigating the story. Is this story true? What are the interpretations that you've based this story on? And it's likely that often it's an incomplete story, and there's an opportunity for you to really fully play out the entire story for yourself, right? So where else has your story disempowered you and eroded your confidence and presence is the third practice. And then the last one is make a list of the areas where you often make comparisons, right? So I know for me, there are certain areas of my life where I don't compare myself to other people, right? I feel confident in those areas. And that's not something I'm doing. But there are areas of my life where maybe I'm struggling or I'm not as confident, where I look almost immediately to compare my performance or how I may be able to perform with someone else. I need to know that. I need to know that that's something that I'm doing and that it's having an impact on my confidence and how I can show up. And that what I'm really doing is I'm playing a comparison con game that I cannot win. So that's my thought for today. Where are you playing this game in a way that you cannot win? And how can you begin shifting yourself to be fully present to you and your power so you can show up powerfully and confident in all the areas of life that matter for you? If this thought made sense, or you know it will help somebody else, I'm going to ask that you share it. And as always, love you guys. Thank you for the support. And if you're new to this feed, first time you heard it, you can join me on Mondays and Thursdays at noon. And by all means, check out the radio show, WVON 1690 AM, on Saturday evenings at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, where I'm also streaming live. All right, so follow the feed. Follow me on Periscope. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Snapchat, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube at Linal Harris. You guys have a phenomenal day, and know that you are powerful. Know that you have everything that you need because you were made unique and special, and you have all the qualities that you need. Don't compare yourself to anybody else. Have a great day, you guys.